Hello Pisces, and welcome to Misfits of the Zodiac. This is my very first video for you guys on this channel. I'm really excited to be starting this tarot channel. I've been thinking about it for a while, so it's fun to actually start to be doing it. And I'm working on water signs today. So without further ado, quick little tidbit. I'm a practicing witch, so if that makes you feel uncomfortable, this is probably not the channel for you. I just like to let people know that up front because that does make people feel uncomfortable, and it will probably get brought up at some point on this channel, and I'm just going to let you know that ahead of time. My name is Ace. I'm going to be using the Green Witch Tarot today. That is going to be my main deck, and then we might pull from potentially for clarification from my Crow Tarot or one of my other Oracle decks at the very end to kind of sum everything up if that feels like it needs to happen. But I'm actually going to start with the downloads that I got. So before I do every reading, I'm also going to clear your space. Before I do every reading, I sit down and meditate and kind of get a feel for any downloads from the universe or my spirit guides, and channel that so that I can bring that to you if there's any messages that are in there. So before we start, I'm going to start with that. So the first image that I saw was a flashlight, and it was on the ground, and it was interesting because it was like, it felt like it was in a dark room, and it was on the ground on like a wooden surface, and it was pointing forward. Like I was behind the back end of the flashlight, and it was pointing forward, and I could see like dust on the ground. The vibe that I got from this was almost as if it was like pointing at things that needed to be cleared away, or things that needed to be, it was like highlighting maybe some either spring cleaning, summer cleaning that needed to be done, or maybe just like cleansing yourself or cleansing your space, because there might be some like potential stagnant or not so great energy that's in the space. So that was the feeling that I got. So that was the first image. So it was the flashlight. The next thing that I got was a seahorse. And before we start, I'll pull from my Animal Spirit Guides book to see if we can get any insight about the seahorse that might be potentially have some sort of message for you within this reading. The seahorse was holding a pearl in its tail, which I thought was really cool. It reminded me of another one of my Oracle decks that I use. Actually, it's not. It's a tarot deck, and it's called the Good Tarot. And it's a Lenormand deck, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. But the seahorse for me has always been like, it's a very sacred animal for me personally, because it represents both male and female aspects. Because seahorses, it's one of, I think it's like maybe the only species, there might be one other species on Earth that the male actually births and holds on to the eggs of the offspring, which I've always found really fascinating. I'm non-binary, so it depends on the day. You'll see on this channel, it depends on the day if I lean more femme, lean more masc, more in the middle sometimes. But seahorses to me are very sacred because of that, because they kind of represent this duality within themselves, which I have always resonated with, and you may feel that way yourself. But the seahorse is also kind of like, they're this tiny little creature, but they're in this big ocean, you know, and they're still finding their way. They're still finding that pearl. So that was the intuitive hit that I was getting with that. And again, we'll look up seahorse before we start, just to see if there's anything else. I saw, this was so cool, honestly. I saw this like 3-sided tent, and it was like, it was bowed in the back, but it was like primitive. It was like a primitive structure, and it was made out of like sticks, and other material that were like natural material, which was so interesting. Honestly, it reminded me very much of like an elaborate childhood like fort. Okay, but it was like if these kids had been doing it for like 10, 15 years and weren't kids anymore, and they were building this thing from scratch. It was really cool. That to me could be a lot of different things. It could be your inner child needing to get back out into the outdoors, especially right now in the summertime. It's fun to go camping, like with the flashlight imagery that I got earlier. That also kind of had that kind of a camping vibe. It's one of my favorite feelings of summer, is like that idea of like being out in the wilderness. So that was the feeling that I got. Could also mean that you're kind of like seeking shelter, and you're feeling kind of like it's very primitive, like you've almost been like stripped down to like your wild self. So we might have to pull from the wild tarot or wild oracle for you later. So we'll see if that comes up later. But that was another thing that I saw. And the last thing that I saw was there was two more things. One was a newspaper, like a really giant newspaper, and it was like almost like you were leaning back and like opening this big newspaper from like back in the 1920s, right? Or 1940s or somewhere along those lines, where it was like almost comical how big it was. And to me, that was representation for, there's just like breaking news every single moment of every day right now. And it's really easy. I am definitely guilty of this, to get sucked into the news right now, and to just start to get to the point where you're not able to move forward because you're starting to feel more and more like, I've got to pay attention to every little thing all the time. I think it's really important to stay informed. I think it's really important to be doing everything that you can to resist right now. But all that being said, if you're not taking time for yourself and you're getting too wrapped up in the news, and it's big news, like, right, all of the time, and you're not like taking time for yourself to ground and to take care of your mental health and your physical health, you're not going to be helped to anyone. And I have to remind myself when that comes up for me, because I'm very empathic, and I have a tendency to like let my mind spiral if I'm not careful. So again, stay informed, stay on top of stuff, but don't let it start to stop you from being an agent of change, because you're so wrapped up in all of the things that are happening that you start to feel like you don't have any agency. Okay. So, that was the vibe that I got from the newspaper. I think the reason it was so big was because it was like, the news just feels so big all the time, every day, all day. And it's just like, if you're consuming that, it just starts to become out of control. So that was the feeling that I had. And then the last thing, again, it kind of keeps falling back into this like childhood kind of a feel, like with the tent and the flashlight and that whole thing. It was a slinky, and it was like one of those like rainbow ones from like the 90s. So again, like, you might be a millennial and this might feel very like nostalgic to you. I know it was for me when I saw it. That was the vibe that I got, was like, again, a return to childhood. So Pisces, like, I think that the basic idea was to not let the outer sources like affect your ability to find joy in the simple things, in the little things, in things that maybe make you feel nostalgic, maybe give you that sense of feeling safe enough in your own space so that you can be an agent of change in the world, if that makes sense. Okay. You're going to hear a little ice cream truck driving by. Wow, that feels very poignant. That's so cool. I love it when that happens. I'm getting like emotional right now. Ooh, that's weird. Okay, anyway, I'm going to move on from that energy. Wow, that came out of nowhere. Anyway, there's an ice cream truck that just drove by and I hear it. I don't know if you guys can hear it. So anyway, that felt, again, like that was that was a sign that we're onto something, so keep that in mind while we're doing that. You might need to be checking in with little you this month in July. There might be some fun events going on. Something simple as like, again, getting ice cream. It could really like give you that little extra boost to feel like you're safe and like you're able to like move through the world and keep up with everything that's going on, but then also find your agency to make change if that's what you're doing. Okay, so while I'm pulling these cards, because this is a new channel, or you might be new to this channel, I am an intuitive reader. I don't necessarily have a structure to the way that I pull cards. Sometimes I'll do a Celtic cross, sometimes I'll pull them in a very specific kind of way, but a lot of the times I like to be very unstructured. I pull cards until it feels like I'm not supposed to pull any more cards. That usually is like, I don't know, anywhere between 8 to 10 cards typically. Sometimes it goes a little more, sometimes it's a little less. And then anything, ooh, that came from the bottom. That's interesting. Ooh, okay. I feel like that's supposed to be here for some reason because it landed here, and usually I would put it here, but for some reason it feels like it needs to be here, so I'm going to put it there. So yeah, I'll go until anything that is outside of the cards that I pull from this tarot, then we will either clarify with another deck, or at the very end, I usually will do at least one oracle deck I'll pull to kind of like wrap up the reading. So that's kind of just to let you know like what my style is. Also, if any of this resonates with you for this, I would love to have you come back and become one of our Misfits. I'm super excited to be starting this channel. I would love to have you subscribe and come back, or give me a like and a share, and let people know about the channel. Would be awesome. I'm going to be starting off this channel just doing monthlies for now, but I'm hoping to put more and more time into it. I currently am also a background actress, and I work in like TV and movies, but then I also, my main baby is producing music. So you will actually hear some music on this channel that I produced. So that would be kind of cool to kind of have some of that intertwined in this channel. It's weird that I'm not getting a lot of like cards coming out. But yeah, anyway, that is, I would love to have you come back. So if this resonates with you, if anything resonates with you from this, ooh, and then we get a bunch. Okay. I would love to see you come back and come share with us and come hang out with us and help build the channel. All right, I'm going to see if anything, ooh, okay. Does that feel like that's supposed to land? I feel like yes. What came out? Okay, that's there. This feels like it's supposed to be here. Okay, awesome. Okay, I feel like that's it, unless something else got flipped. No, it didn't. Okay, so I think this is it. So you got 10 cards plus 1 at the top. So let's get started with this reading. So the overall, sometimes I do the top one first, sometimes I do it at the end. I'm feeling inclined to start with the top, and then we'll work our way down. And I'll see what the different layers mean as we go. They mean different things depending on how it gets pulled and how we go through the motions, okay? So this very first one is Mother Earth, okay? So in the main tarot, the typical tarot, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, this is the Empress, okay? So this is very abundant energy. She's holding a cornucopia with harvest. So you could be actually experiencing harvest right now, the beginning of harvest. The witches just had the summer solstice celebration for us is Litha. And that is like the last celebration just before harvest season begins in August. So you might be kind of like within the wheel of the year, kind of following with us. And it's interesting because you got the wheel of the year as your very first card, which we'll get into in a minute. But Litha is the height of summer. Okay, so it's at its peak, and you're about to take in the harvest, but also Litha, for me, is usually a time to like really indulge in all the abundance going on right now. Like fruits are in season, there's all of this like play going on, there's people going on vacation, you can go to the beach, people are just enjoying themselves. There's also these little ducks down here, and I always like to mention this when this card comes up. My grandmother was a medium. I was very close to her, and when we were little, we used to feed the ducks. Okay. And that stuck with me, and it still sticks with me. And it's a reminder whenever I see ducks to like, again, like I said, check in with little you and like do something that little you would really appreciate. I'm a big proponent of that because I feel like we lose touch with our inner child as we get older, and society feels like the need to beat it out of us, and it's so obnoxious. And like, I'm a big proponent of like fighting for the little one inside you. So this might be your sign to like, again, enjoy the abundance, enjoy the ducks, enjoy doing the simple things in life, like the slinky, like going for, camping, going with your flashlight, and like going for a little spooky adventure. Me and my friends like to go on paranormal adventures, and if that sounds interesting to you, I might be uploading some of that to this channel as well. If that sounds interesting, let me know in the comments. Just doing something fun, having ice cream, like we said, checking in and seeing what resonates. It doesn't have to be some elaborate thing. It could be something so simple. But because she was at the top of your deck, the top of your reading, I love that, because that feels like a summation of what is to come. And you have some great cards, I'll be honest with you. There's only one kind of challenging energy. And I just feel like this month, little you is going to be talking to you. So pay attention. Okay. So we'll put her back at the top. So the first one we got is the Wheel of the Year. In the normal tarot, this is the Wheel of Fortune. This is basically explaining that there's a cycle ending, a new one beginning, okay? So there might be something for you that you've either been working on, or you've been working towards, or you've been going through a rough energy. This is a sign that it's about to change into a more positive round of things, okay? This typically lasts about 6 months. It could last longer, could be shorter. If this was in reverse, I would say it's maybe going in the opposite direction. So you were doing really well, and it might be a challenging time coming up. But because it was right side up, that tells me that you've potentially been going through it. There is a significant change happening. You're about to experience the ending of one cycle and the beginning of the next. So that's something to take into consideration. The next card you got is the Six of Wands. This is celebration. This is a victory. This is people coming to, you see all these people lined up celebrating this man, okay? He has exceeded expectations, and he has landed in a position where everything leading up to a certain point got him to where he is now, and he's being celebrated, okay? So this might be, usually when this happens, it is a cycle ending, because you've been building up and building up and building up and building up, and then you experience the thing. Don't forget to celebrate yourself. Take a moment to like take that in. I know I have to be told that all of the time because I forget to celebrate the wins, and I'm on to the next thing. Don't do that. Take a moment to be in that victory. You've earned it. Like, take it in. Allow people to praise you, give you high fives, be in that energy for a little bit. Don't rush through it. The next energy we have is the Oak King. So this card is, in the normal tarot, is the Hanged Man, which is all about perspective, okay? He's hanging upside down from the Yggdrasil tree, which is the tree of knowledge. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But basically, he's putting himself in this uncomfortable position so that he can seek knowledge by looking at things from another perspective, okay? Sometimes I literally physically will do this. Like, I'll go into a headstand and look at the world from an upside down perspective. And it's wild that sometimes you'll get like weird ideas about things and see the world in a totally, obviously a physically different way, but like in a metaphorical different way as well. So this is asking you to maybe get a different perspective on things, to take try to get outside of yourself and look at it in a new way. Look at it from someone else's point of view, maybe. So that's coming up. The next thing, I love it. This is my favorite card in the deck. I love this star. You have the star. Now we have a train in the background. We're just in all kinds of noises in the background. I don't know if you can hear that. So the star in this particular tarot, she's actually part of the Fae. She's a fairy in this, which I'm a huge fan of the Fae. This could be healing, but it could also be a wish that's coming true for you. It's finding balance. It's finding emotional balance. She's in the water. She's pouring one thing into another thing. She's finding a way to get that emotional regulation. Okay. So usually this can be an indication of healing, like I said, but it also just might be meaning your northern star. Like, what is it that you're looking for right now? Because the energy is here for you to accept that as your reality, if you're willing to be open to it. So be mindful of that. Like, think about when you wish upon a star. That is the energy of this card. It's my favorite card, honestly. I love the sun card, but the star card is like my favorite. So the next one that you have, and the last one you have in the top row, is the Page of Cups. Again, a lot of water energy, which I like to see. I love, again, we keep going back to the inner child, but look at this little tiny here. I call everybody tinies. I call dogs tinies. Everybody's tinies. You're gonna have to get used to that. I don't mean anything bad from it. Actually, it's a term of endearment for me. So you have this little tiny, and she's hanging out, and she is creating something by a river. And like I said, she's holding a cup, so she's filling up her cup through artistic expression. That is everything about this card. So it's talking about potentially the need for you to start to find creative outlets, whatever that looks like to you. It could be painting, could be writing music, it could be going into the park and picking up random little bits that you see. Sometimes I'll go and I'll pick up leaves, or I'll pick up like cool little sticks to like build stuff. Okay, like we were saying before, like the tent idea that I was talking about in the beginning, building this like primitive tent from sticks. Like, finding ways to be creative is like a really great emotional outlet for you, and this is highlighting that. So that's something to keep in mind, because little you might be craving some of that. You might want to take yourself on a creative date. I always recommend The Artist Way, which is a book I read a while back. A lot of creatives talk about that book. Highly recommend it if you are into artistic expression, but it talks about the creative soul and like going on these like artistic dates where you take yourself to like an art store or a dollar store if you're, trying to be more frugal about it, and just letting little you kind of like pick things out that seem like would be excited to create with, and then like creating art with those, whether it's finger painting or just like making cute little cards for yourself. Maybe make a little card for little you and like talk to little you. I found that to be super healing. Talk about the star card. That is a very healing thing to do. I get very emotional when I do that. Sometimes you just need to like talk to little you, and that's a great way to like connect with that part. And I feel like that's what this card is asking you to do. So that's your top row. Your bottom row, we have the Horn God. Now I'm going to get a little bit into the witchy perspective. The Horn God is, basically he's the green man. He is a representation of a protector of nature spirits. He has been demonized by other religions. We won't get into that. But he's actually a nature spirit. He's a nature guide. He's a nature protector. It seems like it's asking for you to be in alignment with that, to look at those around you that could be needing your help and being a protector for them. I know that that's huge right now, like looking out for people around you, looking out for their well-being while you're also taking care of yourself. Don't forget to do that. But this feels very much like it's asking you to do just that. It could be literal animals. Maybe you're taking care of animals right now because they feel comfortable around you. That's like a clear indication for me to know when somebody's safe or not. If like the animal runs away from them and it's like a cat or a dog or like an animal that's typically loves people and like wants to be around people all the time, but they tend to like be skittish around that person, even if that person is being so nice. For me, that's a red flag, because they know intuitively, and usually I've already picked up on whether or not I should trust that person, but they are a very good indication of whether or not to trust that person. So this is asking you and letting you know that you are trusted, you are safe, you are a safe human for those animals to be around, or for other people to be around. So that's a great aspect to have, especially right now, because I feel like there are people in need of protection. So any way that you can be of service in that way, in a safe way, obviously always in a safe way, that's being highlighted with this card. The next, again, I love how many like tinies you have, how many little like kids you have in this reading is adorable. The Six of Cups. So I love that they're like having this like little picnic and they're walking and they have this little bird in this cage. I'm not a huge fan of birds in cages, but you know, the vibe is talking. This card is usually a representation of, again, looking back and feeling reminiscent or feeling like a sense of nostalgia, like we were talking about before with the Slinky. This feels very much to like, this could be like, even though there's a little boy and a little girl here, this could be representation of you and little you, like going for a picnic. It could just be you and yourself going for a picnic and like, I don't know, doodling, doing something fun that you used to enjoy when you were a kid, whether it's video games or like doing art or like picking up something that you haven't done in years. Like sometimes just picking up an instrument or maybe doing something that you couldn't do when you were a kid because you didn't have the money for it, or you never, I don't know, maybe your parents weren't super supportive of that, and now you can do that because you're an adult, okay? So that's the vibe that I'm getting. I don't always get that vibe from this card, but that's what I'm getting from this card. Again, it feels very, very much in touch with your inner child. So paying attention to that and figuring out what they need right now, I think is going to serve you so much in the month of July, Pisces. So the next card is the challenge. So far you've got an amazing card. This is the tough guy, but it might not necessarily, because everything else is so positive. It could just be a major change, in a upheaval kind of change. Okay, so you got the Wild Hunt. This card in the normal tarot is the Tower card. The Tower card is a blessing in disguise, I feel like. A lot of people are afraid of the Tower card, but I always recommend looking at it from the perspective of the universe, your guides, whatever you believe in, is realizing that you're either not on the right path, or you've diverted from your path in some way, or you've been ignoring certain things that need change, and you're either too afraid or you're just ignoring those changes because it's difficult or challenging. And this is basically going to force the change, okay? It can also mean it's just a quick change that comes in and just like everything alters in one day or a couple of days out of nowhere, and it's sudden, okay? But usually it means that something is crumbling down so that you have an opportunity to build it back up on a more stable ground, because it's been built on something that is not going to last. So it's actually giving you the opportunity to make the change, okay? So that's why there's like a storm. This is just before this tower tips over and basically dwindles into nothing. But when you're in the midst of this tower moment, it's very uncomfortable. It's not a fun energy most of the time. But the great thing is once you are starting to rebuild on the other side and you build the new thing, you can look back on this tower card and tower time and be like, wow, if it weren't for everything falling apart, I would have never built this other thing. So keep that in mind when you're in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of that uncomfortability part. Okay. So that's the middle card on the bottom you have. The next one is the battle wagon. So this in the normal tarot is the Chariot card. This is all about fast action. Also could be a victory card. I'm getting the vibe that this is just fast movement. So again, with the Tower, like I said, it's just like something coming in quickly, a quick change that needs to happen. But you are able to persevere. You're able to figure it out. You're able to take these horses that might be going in two different directions and guide them to a helpful place, and not and do it in a way that's like swift, so that you're not sitting in this like, oh my god, everything's falling apart. Okay, so it seems like if there is a big Tower moment, it's going to come quick. Might be nasty, but it'll be over quick too, which is great to see. The last card that you have is the Ace of Athames. Again, a little tiny. I love this little owl up here, and she's working with her spell book. So in this particular tarot, this is all about you figuring out what works for you and the beginning of independent thinking. So it's the beginning of you doing things for yourself and the way that it makes sense for you. And again, maybe checking in with little you to see if that resonates with them. And then moving forward without outside influence. Okay. And the owl tells me that you're doing it from a place of wisdom. So even though you might be new to this independent thinking, you're doing it independently, you have gained a lot of wisdom up to this point. So trust your intuition, trust your gut. Okay. That is the vibe that I'm getting from this card. Overall, this is a great reading. I am going to pull... we forgot to do the spirit guide. So before we do anything, I'm going to look at the seahorse, and we're going to read from the seahorse. And then I'm going to pull one last card to kind of wrap things up. I think I am going to pull from the wild side, because I feel like, again, when we're kids, we are wild, okay? We've not been tamed by the outer world yet. So I feel like that deck is going to be the best to pull for you for the month of July, so that's what we're going to do. But I'm going to read from the seahorse to see if there's anything from that could be of assistance or kind of add to this reading in any way. Again, this is this animal spirit guides, if you want to check that out. I sometimes do bibliomancy with this particular book, which we can talk about in another time. The seahorse, you're being called upon to sacrifice your own needs at this time to be in service to others. That feels very much like the horn god energy that I was talking about. This is a good time to experiment switching gender roles, doing things that you ordinarily think of as belonging to the domain of the opposite sex. Volunteer some of your time to service organization. You're about to go on a quest or a spiritual pilgrimage of some sort. So prepare yourself by being open to the opportunity when it surfaces. That feels very in tune with what's going on. You might be doing a lot of service work, like I was saying before. Don't forget to ground yourself for yourself. Don't forget to take care of your own needs first. But because that's going to help you be of service the best to people, so that you can show up in the horn god energy and be the protector that people need right now. If that resonates with you. If it's not, and you're doing it in a different kind of way, then that is just as valid. But if you are directly working in an organization or working with people to try to organize to keep people safe, then you're doing the good work, and keep it up. But don't forget to pay attention to your needs. So just checking in with that. So we're going to pull from this wild card. I love this deck so much. I got this in Salem, Massachusetts last year, and it has served me in a lot of different ways. But it's called Wild Things Oracle, if you like it. I might start linking these decks below. If you want any more information about them, definitely leave a comment. If this resonated with you at all, I'd love to see you come back. I would love to get a little thumbs up from you, or maybe a message in the comments letting me know that this resonated with you. I hope that this connected with you in some way. We're going to pull one last card, and I think that we're good for July. But Pisces, I hope that you have an amazing... Oh my God, there's so many. I hope that you have an amazing, even though these all fell, none of them were face side up and this one flipped over. So I'm going to go with this one. I hope you have an amazing July. This is actually my birthday month, so I'm excited to be starting this channel during my birthday month. It feels very like transitional phase for me. So, all right, let's do this. So you got focus, which is interesting because it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the flashlight. It felt very much like zoned in, like it was trying to highlight something. So keeping the focus is going to be big this month. All right, so you have a choice right now. Look at what you treasure or what you despise, what you hope for, what you fear. Either way, what you think about grows. Your focus is a power source, amplifying and expanding what it perceives. Now is the time to use this very simple power to direct the energy and flow of your experience. When you focus on what you already have with gratitude and on what you want with love and appreciation, you create the energy version of your vision before there is any proof in the material world. You can take that vision to the planning board and map your own road to world domination. I love these little tiny birds on this. It's so freaking cute. So cute. I love, again, that you're dealing with, it seems like a child spirit here, okay? So what you focus on becomes your reality. I definitely feel like, again, you're dealing with some healing, some inner child healing maybe. You're going through transition, so be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, be kind to little you. But I feel like you are on your way to something really cool and really magical. Like, it feels like you're doing good work, like in the physical realm, but you're also like being guided to do some like fun, magical, childlike wonder kind of stuff, which I'm all about. I love that so much. So I hope something in this reading resonated with you. If it did, like I said, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to have you come back as a misfit. I am going to be doing monthly readings for right now, but I would eventually like to build more onto this channel and start doing weeklies or maybe even bi-monthlies, and then slowly work my way into being more and more and more consistent on this channel. But at least for now, I'm definitely doing monthlies no matter what, and that's where we're at right now. But we'll see where this journey takes me. But I'm kind of doing some inner child work myself. So Pisces, I hope this resonated with you, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great July, and talk to you guys hopefully soon. Bye.